Hey, welcome to the studio. Naturally, as I just get started, they decide that they're going to take out the trash and move all of the dumpsters outside. I figured it will be some beautiful background noise for our segment today. So, I wanted to dive into today whether or not working another job makes you less of an artist. So, feel free to join the conversation, to share your thoughts. Before I get going, though, I want to say please feel free to check out CariniArts.com for my shop, my blog, my podcast. What you do to support me makes what I do possible. So I just want to show my appreciation and give my thanks to all the people that make what I do possible as a full-time artist. So I'm going to be sharing my thoughts today from my perspective as somebody that is currently a full-time artist. This is all that I do, but there have been times that I did other things. So I guess I should probably start with the earlier phase of my life and my career. And up until I was around 35, I held another job. So getting out of college, my thought process was that I wanted to find a job that was parallel to my art. So I started working in the sign industry. And being an introvert that didn't really know how to market or sell my work, I thought, hey, if I get a job doing sales in the sign industry, I can create skills that are compatible and parallel to my growth as an artist. And my thought process was I'm going to work until I have X amount of dollars, and then I will cut the tether, and I will then be only a full time artist. And what happened was, and this is happening a lot right now, is cost of living went up dramatically. So even though I managed to pay off my student loans 10 years early, I paid off my car, I live a very simple, basic life, I noticed that I wasn't getting ahead. I was actually seemingly on the books falling further behind. But all of those years, I was no less of an artist than I am today. But I know that perception's a funny thing because a lot of times you tell people you're an artist, and what's the first thing that they'll ask you? Okay, well, what do you do for a job? So they automatically oftentimes presume that it's not a viable or sustainable method of living. And the truth is that it absolutely is. I do feel like, and this is kind of diverting topics a little bit, but I do feel like with contemporary culture and the things that we're dealing with, particularly here in California and San Diego, more than even other cities in California, is that it's getting harder and harder to be a small business, an independent business. So artists, it's getting more and more difficult. Now, I don't want to discourage anybody. If you want to do this, you can absolutely do it. You can find a way. As artists, we find creative solutions to our problems. And so that's what I'm doing right now is I'm trying to find creative solutions to make it work again. It's still working, but it's just getting to a point where I see some obstacles and hurdles ahead that I'm not particularly fond of. And so I want to find some solutions to those. So that's what I'm working on right now. So I want to encourage you, if you have a dream, go after your dream. You may have to make some sacrifices. You may have to live a simpler lifestyle. You may have to give up some things. In fact, if it's a dream that is a big dream that's hard to achieve, you're going to have to make some big sacrifices. And so what it really comes down to is how bad do you want it? Now, maybe you have a family, maybe you have other financial responsibilities, and so it's just not practical for you to make the full jump right now. And for those of you that feel that way, I understand that. Now, what I do want to say is that we will often say that we're going to wait until we're ready, but we're never really ready. And even at 35, I didn't feel like I was really ready to make the transition, but I was just at a point where I said, I can't take this anymore. I just feel like my soul is being sucked out of me working this other job. And so I would rather fall flat on my face. I would rather be homeless. I would rather have nothing than to continue living like this because I'm not living, I'm just surviving. And at least if I'm focused on what I want to do, at least I can feel like there's a sense of purpose there and like I'm moving in the direction of my calling. And so I do find that there is at least, at the very least, this illusion of security when we hold another job, when we have income coming in from a source. And particularly if you're not used to selling your work yet, or you don't have relationships where you have enough supplemental income or passive income coming in, it can be very tricky to think of, oh gosh, I got to make X amount of dollars to survive being an artist. And it's going to require a lot of creative thinking, but it is certainly possible for you. But getting back to the initial topic, no, it does not make you in any sense less of an artist to hold a job or multiple jobs while being an artist. I know some absolutely amazing, fantastic artists that hold full time jobs, some of them more than a full time job, to do what they want. Some people want to do art as a hobby. They don't want it to be their career path or their source of money because they feel that by having it be their source of primary income, that it'll put this level of pressure on them that will take away the enjoyment and the things that they find fulfilling about art and being an artist. But they're still an artist nonetheless. It doesn't make them any less of an artist than I am. Now, in the sense of are there levels of things? Uh, in a manner of speaking, yes, but you could be a fantastic, amazing, top tier artist in terms of quality and what you put out there and still hold a job or do something else on the side. You're not necessarily more of an artist per se because it's all that you do. There are some people out there that are born into wealth, into resources, and so they don't have to work. And maybe in that case, art is all they do. So are they more of an artist than somebody that busts their butt and has a family and works two full-time jobs or a part-time job or whatever your situation may be? No, there's no correlation whatsoever. But it's a funny thing because one of the things that I really pay attention to is the way people address it when they say that they're an artist or they say that they're not an artist. And you can really sometimes hear somebody confidently say, "Oh, I'm an artist," and a lot of times, actually, it's younger people, kids, little kids that are like, "Oh, I'm an artist. I'm an artist." They know in their heart because they create, they're an artist. And what happens is that oftentimes is life or perception because of outside opinion, it sucks it out of us and it starts to convince us that we're not an artist, or because we hold this job or we do this other thing to bring in money, we start to say, you know what? Maybe I'm not an artist, or maybe I'm not as much of an artist as I thought. And I think that we really need to separate from that because it's not true whatsoever. Maybe you're at a point where this is your phase, this is your process. Maybe this is the thing that pushes you in the direction or clears the path to make it so that you can be an artist. Now, what I do want to say, going back to what I had mentioned earlier, is the idea of not ever feeling like we're ready. So, in hindsight, if I am honestly and objectively looking back at my situation, I'm thankful for all the things that I learned in holding another job for as long as I did. There were a lot of lessons that I learned. There were a lot of things that I learned that I liked. There are a lot of things, a lot more things that I learned that I don't like and would never want to go back to. And so sometimes those are also valuable or even more valuable lessons. But I'm thankful that I did it the way that I did. I was still making a lot of work. I was building relationships. I was finding my vendors. I was setting up my business. So if you are holding another job, just make sure that you're moving in the direction of setting yourself up for success. And then at some point, you're going to have to do the uncomfortable thing and you're going to have to cut the tether. And what I did find was that in quitting my job and in not having a backup plan, making it so that the only direction that I could move in was forward, it did put more pressure on me, but it also made me stronger and more confident because I learned, hey, I can do this. I have made this work for X amount of time. So even right now, as I'm looking at my situation and seeing the obstacles ahead and I'm seeing cost of living increase exponentially, I'm able to say to myself, well, you found creative solutions and ways to make it work before. And so you can do it again. And so I'm confident that I will be able to find a way, even in this economical climate, to make it work. And I feel like, as somebody that's done it before, as somebody that likes to take the hard road, the road less traveled, to push the boulder uphill, so to speak, that I have this certain responsibility to set an example and to show other people that they can do it, because I know there's a lot of people, there's a lot of influencers and people that post their glamour shots on social media and they talk about, oh yeah, you can do this, you can do this. But a lot of times those are the people not really doing it. And so I always share my struggles and my obstacles and all the things that I'm having to overcome on the journey. And so some people may perceive that as negative, but I think it's important to remember that it's not always a good vibes only scenario. The good vibes come because of the blood, the tears, the sacrifice, all the things that you put into it. And sometimes that means having to do the difficult thing or the thing that you don't want to do. So sometimes that may mean holding a job or working something else. And what I would suggest is perhaps looking into a job that is parallel to your interest in the arts, something that will kind of complement it, maybe introduce you to resources that will help you on your career path eventually as an artist. Now, some people like to have the separation and want to do something completely different because they just like to have these polarities, their A and their B, and to keep them separate. And if that's you, hey, the cool thing about art is there's no right or wrong way. So whatever your journey is, whatever path you're on, that's just your path. It doesn't make you any lesser. In fact, if you really embrace it, it makes you more. So I want to say embrace your path, embrace your journey, whatever it may be. If that means holding another job or doing something of that nature, again, we all have different circumstances, different obstacles, and we can all find our own independent creative solutions to working around this. So I am curious though, I want to hear from you. I want to hear people share their thoughts. How do you feel about this? Do you work a job right now? And are you an artist? Do you work a job so you don't consider yourself an artist? Or maybe you consider yourself lesser an artist? Now, I was thinking about this earlier. I am big into fitness. And if somebody says, "Are you an athlete?" I don't know how I would answer that. I do athletic things, but I don't know that I would consider myself an athlete. Like, I consider an athlete somebody that does something professionally, but I don't necessarily think that that correlates with art. I think that art is kind of a separate entity all in itself. I think that art is this special thing that can't be qualified or quantified per se. I think that it's this cosmic universal energy type of thing, and that it can exist and coexist in scenarios and boundaries that are almost imperceptible. So find your path, find your way, do it your own way. If I can help you on your journey, then I'm doing my part. That's what I'm here for. So even as I'm going through my struggle, going through my go through and trying to figure it out, I still do try to come on as often as possible and to share my thoughts, share my processes, and help people along the way on the journey. If you want to support my work and what I do, because I don't have another job, so it it does often come down to, hey, were you able to move something today? If I feel comfortable, maybe eating even a certain number of times a day. So it's just that this is my passion, this is my calling. I know how important it is to me, and I know the sacrifice that I have to make. And so I'm willing to do that. Now, if I had a family, if I had these other things going on, there might be a different scenario, but this is my journey right now. This is my path. And your support, even if you make a $5, $10 donation, hey, sometimes that means today's Taco Tuesday. So over at Santana's down the street, it's half off tacos today. So a couple bucks, I can get a taco. I can stretch it twice as far because of the half off tacos today for Taco Tuesday. So today would be a great day if you want to go to CariniArts.com, make a donation, or make a purchase off my site. I really appreciate it. But let me know the things that you want to talk about if there's other topics. And I will see you next time. But share your thoughts in the comments and we can revisit this again in the future. Have a great day. Stay safe, be well, and carry on your art journey, whatever it may be. See you next time.